gentlemen, welcome on in to Risk of Rain Monster Madness! For those who are not familiar, I have created a 1v1 single elimination bracket between 64 monsters and survivors in Risk of Rain 2. If you missed the first 2 rounds, go check out the previous video in the description. And if you are here for our top 16, here they are. These final rounds are full of excitement, so comment down below which 2 monsters you think will face off in our grand final. And hit that subscribe button. Now, without further ado, let's start right where we left off and jump into round 3 of Risk of Rain Monster Madness. To begin our 3rd round of the top 16 in the tournament, we of course have our number 1 seed Twip the Devotee facing off against a daunting 16 seed Magma Worm. Does the Magma Worm have the health pool that is high enough to take out a Twisted Scavenger? I do not think so, but the aggression is coming out strong off the bat. Now of course, Twip has some incredible items to use at his disposal. So we'll see how that goes against the Magma Worm. Definitely the toughest match that Twip has had to deal with so far. Magma Worm, a very wily enemy, making it hard for Twip to shoot at, as it being under the ground, still definitely making contact. Will the Magma Worm be able to hide under the map enough? It'll all depend on the Magma Worm strategy. It is definitely doable for the worm, but will Twip figure out what's going on? Will the Magma Worm keep making the best decisions possible to pull up a huge upset in the tournament? But the Magma Worm really holding on here. I don't really know the health pool difference between these 2 competitors. If it's not that large, this really could go either way. Magma Worm is still with us right now. Twip with 3 really well-placed shots. Twip has been on fire for a lot as the on-kill effect coming out. Magma Worm still surviving, hiding during the shots, coming out at the right moments, dealing that damage, lighting on fire. Could the Magma Worm pull up the biggest upset in the entire tournament so far? No, the Magma Worm goes out to the on-kill. Twip moves on once again. 2 absolute behemoths facing off in a very tight match. Up next, we have the 9 seed Imp Overlord versus the 8 seed Grandparent. Now, the Imp Overlord is at home field advantage here on Rally Point Delta. We'll see how the damage begins. The bleed is going to be huge, but the sun attack from the Grandparent might just end up being bigger. It depends how much the Imp Overlord can stack that bleed to try to kill before the sun. Imp Overlord is starting to bleed the Grandparent. The slam attack does very much need to come out. If the slam attack is not coming out, Grandparent should have an easy win here. The sun is coming out. That means the Grandparent is at half health. I do not know if our Imp Overlord can survive this. I think the Grandparent son is the reason he is seated so highly. The Imp Overlord still surviving though, but this damage has to be brutal at this point. Imp Overlord actually survives a sun. The Grandparent could be in big trouble here, knowing it's already at half. We have no idea what the health is on the Imp Overlord. This could be a very close match. The sun comes out again. The Imp Overlord does indeed teleport, but I don't know if it'll do enough. Imp Overlord starting to take that really big damage. And the Imp Overlord comes out on top as the very slight underdog. What a battle. This round is full of incredible matchups. We have the number 5 seed Overloading Worm taking on now an underdog, the 12 seed Soulless Control Unit. Overloading Worm, one of the strongest enemies in the game. The Soulless Control Unit does have the aerial advantage. Both are big enemies, easy to hit for each other. I'll see how they interact, both very large health pools. If the Soulless Control Unit can stay far enough away, or move aggro with these Soulless Probes, it might have a chance, but that Overloading Worm is very hard to defeat. The Overloading Worm is taking the worm approach, staying under the map for the most part, avoiding most of the damage, but also not really attacking right now. Playing it pretty safe. The worm might not know what to do with this aerial enemy. We could have an upset on our hands. These competitors are certainly competing at their absolute best. There is a huge attack from the Overloading Worm, but it's the first one in a long time. Looks like the aggression finally coming out. Does it have the sustainability of this aggression to come through? A Soulless Probe getting knocked out of the way by the worm's mouth. Worm is still up, doing as much as it can, but this aerial enemy proving to be a huge hindrance. With two of the most powerful bosses in the game, this has been such a little chip battle so far. 3 damage, 13 damage, 30 damage. These are light numbers that are just peeking through. Nothing of real substance here, but both still hanging on. It becomes an endurance test. There was a massive hit on the control unit. The control unit now using the ground slam attack. The worm hitting again with the poison. But we now know the Soulless control unit is at half health. The question is that worm. Is it below half? Is it above half? Is it a mere sliver from death? It's just not something we're gonna know. Oh, and the worm comes through victorious. The worm could be one of the strongest competitors in the game. With the Soulless control unit dying here, the probes will have to make a judgment call here on whether they count as part of the unit. I'm gonna say they do until they're out. One is down, one probe left to go. And the worm takes the victory with a very slight tail touch. What a well-deserved victory, and what a battle. This next matchup on paper looks like it won't be close, but if the 20 seed Clay Templar can play this just right, then maybe it can take down the number 4 seed Mithrix, King of Nothing. It begins. Mithrix comes down immediately, swinging at the Clay Templar. Clay Templar just needs to stay far enough away, pushing Mithrix away. If Mithrix continues to be overly aggressive in some of these challenges, there's a chance that Clay Templar's consistent firing could do it. If Mithrix gets a couple of those hits in, though, the Clay Templar could be out of luck. The closer Mithrix is to the Clay Templar, the worse that could do. Oh, wow. The Clay Templar known for a little bit of a health pool. Mithrix obviously is Mithrix, falling down the ramp. Jumping will come back down. I do not know if the shockwave will make contact. So Mithrix has taken some damage here. Clay Templar probably worse for wear. There's a reason he's a much lower seed, but you just never know. If he can stay far away from Mithrix and deal that consistent damage, there's a chance for a massive upset. Another huge slam for 74 damage. Mithrix is playing this beautifully, staying close, removing the ability for those long, sustained pieces of damage. Another drop. Clay Templar might take significant damage here, and it does due to the shockwave. We now have the battle of the spider crab-esque monsters. The number 3 seed Voidling takes on the number 14 seed Clay Dunestrider. This should be a very interesting battle between both. I do think the Voidling heavily favored in this matchup. Clay Dunestrider does technically deal more damage than these plimp shots coming in. Clay Dunestrider with that home field advantage. Voidling not used to the rally point delta they are on. Dunestrider really putting in good work. This is going to hurt a ton, though. Clay Dunestrider staying in that zone, good to get out of it, does a ton of damage. The little barrels are not going to make contact with Voidling, and I think the Dunestrider is going to stay in the circle. Very rookie move from the advanced boss in the game. A veteran should not be making these mistakes. Voidling going under the ground, gonna hit hard with the spin. Clay Dunestrider also trying to do some sort of healing. I think the Clay Dunestrider is out of the tournament. Voidling moves on to the Elite 8. This next matchup might just be an easy sweep for the number 6 seed Z Construct fighting in the air, while the 11 seed Beetle Queen and the following Beetle Guards are stuck to the floor. You can never be sure how a battle is going to turn out, but this one I have a pretty good feeling the range and the height of the Z Construct is going to prove too much for the grounded Beetle Queen. Now, if it stays super close and the Beetle Queen can hit all the shots, there is a chance. But the Beetle Guards are going to be doing nothing at all. Look at the intense damage from the number 6 seed. And this is the issue. So high up, the Beetle Queen can only do small amounts of damage. That explosion on the ground doing a good amount as well. All the little turrets are taking out the Beetle Guards. They don't even need to. Those are useless in this battle. Look at the laser just decimate. I know the Beetle Queen's health pool is high, but it is not high enough. The Z Construct might just be too strong. Another aerial versus ground matchup here with the 7-seeded Alloy Worship Unit Powerhouse versus the Behemoth of the Void Devastator at seed 10. Let's see how this plays out. The Devastator has the ability to insta-kill. I do not think it works against the Alloy Worship Unit being such an important boss, so I'm curious just how close this is going to be. Alloy Worship Unit not using that height, staying right in the middle of the fight here, staying right in front of the Void Devastator, throwing out the Soulless Probes a little far away, maybe kind of getting lost in the sauce. Tons of damage coming through on each side, actually. This could be a very close matchup, one that I didn't see being quite as close, but a 7 seed versus a 10 seed. Alloy Worship Unit now at half health. What is the health pool of the Crab, who is now standing on top? We have no idea. Void Devastator is taking a lot of damage from the probes. These circles are going to do a lot as well. These little... Oh, and the Void Devastator! The Void Devastator is down! I did not expect it to go so fast, but the Alloy Worship Unit proves why it is 3 seeds higher. Our final matchup of round 3 is the number 2 seeded Scavenger against the number 15 seed Grove Tender. Now, the Grove Tender is at home here on Scorched Acres, but it looks like the Scavenger might have a gun. Is it able to use the gun on a Grove Tender? I do not understand how that works. I have no idea. I really have no idea who could win this battle. Grove Tender, obviously an extremely strong boss with a lot of weapons, but Scavenger's known for their insane damage, and Scavenger proves why it is the number 2 seed in the entire tournament. From 16 monsters down to 8, we have reached our quarter final matchups. Take a look at the bracket before you. Put your votes in, and let's begin our quarter finals! To begin the 4th round with only 8 competitors left, we have, of course, the number 1 seed, Twip the Devotee, against the number 9 seed, the Imp Overlord. Now, the Imp Overlord is at home, of course, on Abyssal Depths, but there is a huge reason why Twip is the number 1 seed in this tournament. I have no idea how he is against Bleed. Twip with a massive amount of health is calling in the meteorites. This is the first time we've seen this from Twip, meaning, hey, maybe it's under a little bit of trouble. That Bleed is coming through strong. Those on-kill effects also coming in strong. Imp Overlord really is putting in as much work as it can. Is it enough for Twip to lose out on the chance to win? I think it just gained crowbars, which doesn't really change this battle too much. The Scavengers, of course, can pick up items, so it depends on what items they pick up to determine how this goes. The Imp Overlord has been defeated. Twip retains that number 1 spot. Our next match has 2 competitors looking to take the entire title. The number 5 seed Overloading Worm versus the number 4 seed Mithrix. This one is going to be very interesting. 2 very dynamic enemies. Lots of movement, lots of damage, lots of health. How long can the worm hold on? How long can Mithrix go dealing consistent damage without getting hit by the thunder too hard? The worm is using that middle pillar to its advantage, Mithrix taking out the anger on it. The worm is going to have to use that hiding underground technique we have seen so many times. Mithrix with the jump. Will the shockwave make contact? It will. The worm with a bad peek. An amateur move for a veteran in the game. Mithrix being one of the final bosses in the game, you would expect a win here, being that higher seed, but the worm being such a mobile enemy. Mobility, one of Mithrix's biggest weakness because of those slow attacks. Worm with a giant attack on Mithrix there. We do not know their health percentages at the moment. Both competitors fighting very hard for this win. They know a win here secures them into the top 4 of the tournament with only 8 competitors left at this point. The final 4 is an extremely prestigious round to get to. And the worm moves on. Mithrix has been defeated. The overloading worm, a seed behind, moving on to that final 4 stage. Also looking to book their way into the final 4, we have the number 3 seed Voidling versus the number 6 seed Z Construct. Now the Z Construct has the movement, has the range, but the Voidling is strong. We've seen it time and time again against the Clay Dune Strider. It absolutely destroyed, so we'll see how the Z Construct can react to the giant crab. The Survivors of the Void DLC special, 2 of the worst enemies in the game to fight, which is why both of their seeding is so high. Now Voidling is going for the laser attack, and the Z Construct is gonna eat it just right in the front. The second one just grazes. Is gonna come around a third time. It does miss. Z Construct getting good revenge damage on this. We'll see how well all the little turrets can handle. The Z Construct not using its range at all. If only it did that when I fought it. Voidling, of course, doesn't really miss with these plimp attacks. And is it going to use the laser attack? That is the question. When is it going to use? No way. Did we just witness history? The Z Construct has defeated the Voidling and moves on. Another duo looking to clinch that 4 spot. The final round of our Elite 8 goes to the number 2 seed Scavenger against the number 7 seed Alloy Worship Unit. 2 extremely strong opponents. The Scavenger, of course, lacking the mobility of the Alloy Worship Unit, but the Alloy Worship Unit apparently lacking the attacks. Scavenger making a ton of headway at the beginning of this battle. Alloy Worship Unit not even attacking back until this moment. We can see that this Scavenger does have an opal. That's going to make it a little bit harder for the Alloy Worship Unit. The Soulless Probes need to get involved, take some of the aggro away, which they do. That is their entire job here. If they can't take aggro away, the Scavenger runs away with this victory. We can see the Scavenger does have a focus crystal. Very dangerous for Alloy Worship to stay this close. Also a gasoline. Looks like potentially a clover as well. Some insane items coming out. The on-kill effects going over. The gasoline does not appear to be doing much. The probes putting extremely consistent damage into the Scavenger. If the Alloy Worship Unit was to take this win, that is a huge upset against the number 2 seed of the entire tournament so far. Alloy Worship Unit going in for another big attack. Staying up close like this is risky, but also doing a lot of damage. Scavenger is grabbing an item. That's shurikens. That is extremely dangerous. Now 5 shurikens against all of these. Alloy Worship Unit needs to start moving now. Another item grab. Oh, the Scavenger's down! Not an item grab. The Alloy Worship Unit taking out a huge underdog victory. The 7 seed to the 2 seed. With 4 competitors remaining, we move right into the semifinals to determine who will face off in the championship for Risk of Rain Monster Madness. Our semi-final matchup begins with Twip the Devotee, the #1 seed that has rocked through every opponent it has had so far. Facing off against Twip is the Overloading Worm, proving extremely lethal in longer fights. Both of these enemies have proven that they belong here in the Final Four. The question is, who can take the victory? The Overloading Worm attacking aggressively, Twip shooting immediately. Overloading Worm, of course, with the home field advantage here on Sky Meadows in our 5th round. But Twip being that 1 seed is extremely lethal. The items the Scavenger has are extremely scary, including the meteorites, which will do damage to both competitors. So Twip really just sending it all out at once. The Worm has proven to have a massive health pool and massive damage and has been very aggressive this fight so far. The home field advantage really showing here. Twip grabbing an item, we're not sure what it is, we can't even see his teddies. That is very dangerous for the Worm to not be able to take some of those shots. We can see blocked. More shots coming through. Twip really being backed into a corner here. I would imagine that's not what Twip wanted to do. The Worm really making some moves here, still continuing. This is going to be a battle of health pool. Those 5 teddies are coming in so clutch for Twip right now. What a good roll. That is the benefit of being a Scavenger. You can pick up those items that could make or break a battle. Even with the ability to have Monster Tooth, Twip has been defeated! Even with the Monster Tooth, the Overloading Worm proving more deadly than Twip the Devotee, and moves on to the championship. Also looking to punch their way into the championship, we have the 6 seed Z Construct against the 7 seed Alloy Worship unit. Both incredible aerial competitors with shields, with minions. Who will move on to the finals? Now, the Z Construct does have home field advantage, but both have the ability to take this victory. Both have minions that they'll send out. One probe is already gone. That is incredible. The damage from the Z Construct may just be too much for the Alloy Worship unit. But the Alloy Worship unit does have that massive shield, which can help if done correctly. The Alloy Worship unit is already this close to being dead. The shield is already coming out. The Z Construct might be the one to beat in the tournament. Z Construct moving on to a Soulless Probe. Is that a smart decision? We will be... time will tell. Another shield comes out. Another ground attack. Tons of damage onto the Z Construct. Both these guys face to face. Really almost playing chicken with who will move first. Damage coming out left, right, and center. Shields coming out, lasers coming out. This is gonna miss the Z Construct. The Alloy Worship unit is fine for now. We have no idea how low the Z Construct is, but it hasn't shielded once, so I gotta imagine it is okay. The Alloy Worship unit is defeated. Now, of course, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this guy is not gonna carry the win, but we will let him play it out, and it is done. The Z Construct moves on to the final round. Two competitors, one title, 6 full rounds of 1v1 matchups has all led us to this very moment. The 5 seed Overloading Worm has obliterated all in its path with speed and durability. The 6 seed Z Construct has used its range and consistent powerful damage to dismantle everything that has opposed it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finals of Risk of Rain Monster Madness! Who will emerge victorious? We have both of them here playing it out on the Moon Bridge in an epic battle of 2 incredibly strong enemies. The Z Construct might have the advantage here due to its range. The overloading worm is stuck to the bounds of some sort of floor. The worm is going to have to avoid this laser if it wants to survive. The worm has proven to be extremely good at these longer fights. Without any way to look at health totals, we can only sit here and wonder what each enemy has. The Z Construct might take this home purely because of its insane range. It can just stay up top. The worm does not have a lot of chances to get up there and deal damage. The overloading worm is using that ground cover very, very well. Coming up for maybe a strike a little too low. Is the Z Construct truly just gonna outrange the overloading worm right now? The lightning coming down, surely doing damage to the Z Construct. I can only imagine, though I don't see the damage numbers. Is this over for the worm? The Z Construct trying to find the overloading worm. The overloading worm is biding its time until the Z Construct moves down there. I do not think the Z Construct is going to go down. The Z Construct is totally happy where it is, up high, up above these pieces of stone. The worm is going to have to use the stone to get up there. The Z Construct is using that insane height and insane range to just decimate right now. This is a blowout. As much as the worm is getting pelted right now, it has proven extremely durable. Through all the matches it's been in, it has survived for much longer than we've expected. The Z Construct has done the same, but by how much? Even the Z Construct turrets are doing a ton of damage. That explosion hitting the overloading worm every time. The turret's not known for having the best aim, but how much longer can the overloading worm hold on to this insane damage the Z Construct is outputting? The overloading worm went down and it is dead. And the victory goes to the Z Construct. The winner of this year's tournament is one of the most feared enemies in the game. Did not even use the shield. The Z Construct is your 2024 World Champion. And there you have it. All those times you have died to a Z Construct don't seem as bad now as it wins the first ever Risk of Rain Monster Madness. I really hope you all enjoyed. This video took so long to make, but was so fun to create, so let me know what you thought. And with all that being said, I will see you next time.